If you are tired of wasting hours manually screening unqualified candidates, then this video is for you. Our AI recruiting agent consistently identifies top talent while eliminating hours of manual screening. This video was recommended to me by a user in the comments, and it was an absolute blast to make. This automated system pretty much handles everything from initial applications to in-depth voice AI interviews, delivering only candidates who score within the top percentile. In this video, I'll show you exactly how this 3-step automation works and how you can implement it today. Let's break this down step by step, and by the end of this video, you're going to understand absolutely everything, even if you're a beginner. So let's get into it. There's 3 main phases to this flow, and it looks a little complicated, but trust me, I'll break it down for you. It'll be super easy. But there's 3 main phases, and we're going to focus on phase 1, which is just an initial form application. So let's say post this job on your company's LinkedIn, yada yada. Basically, people have to fill out a form with their information, and you may have a few questions regarding the role. For the context of this video, this is just an example of hiring a chief technical officer for Neurov AI, our company. So what we have here is just a built-in initial form submission. It's very simple. It's just Neurov AI chief technology officer, and it's basically a CTO opportunity. So it's the shape of the future AI-driven lead generation. And let me actually show you just what this looks like. If we put this in here, and I think I have to test the flow. So this is what the form looks like, and obviously you can cater it how you want. Basically, Neurov AI CTO opportunity, and then we basically give some information, what we're really looking for. So you can obviously tailor that however you want. What we're seeking: technical visionaries, strategic leaders, communicators. By the way, we're not actually hiring anyone. This is purely just for the video. But you can see here there's a few fields that we can obviously fill out. Obviously my name, my last name, my phone number, email, and obviously there's a few questions you can put in here as well. And this is really cool. So obviously the person will answer these questions, and these are required fields. And then once the person answers the questions, so I've just gone ahead and filled out these roles, just using AI for this example. And what this will really do is when you submit this form, assuming we go back to this flow, and I want to minimize this so you can actually see what happens. Basically what's going to happen is when we submit this form, that information is going to be put inside of our CRM. So basically it'll put in the first name, it'll put in the last name, the phone number, etc. So let's actually test this real quick. Test workflow. I think I got to do it again. No. Awesome. So we're going to pause that. So basically what happened is that initial form submission basically populated the output with all of those fields. Those then got put inside of our Airtable. And just to show you what our Airtable looks like, basically we have, it's called interview process. It has phase 1, which is the initial form submission, and then phase 2, which we're going to get into later in the video. But you can see here, everything's been automatically populated. We have the first name, the last name, the phone number, the email, question 1, question 2, and then question 3. So these are the responses I put for question 1, question 2, and question 3. And basically that got stored inside of the CRM for later use. There is also a field called outcome, and well, this status has a qualified field or an unqualified field, and we're going to get into that a bit later in this video. Basically, what happens then is we have an AI agent, or not an AI agent, we have an LLM, which will basically check and evaluate the quality of the answers. So basically we feed in here question 1, technical expertise, describe a time you designed or scaled an AI system. And this answer was basically grabbed from our Airtable. So basically the response that the user gave in the form. Same with question 2 and question 3. So that is basically the text that's provided to the LLM. And then this is the system prompt, where it's basically a highly skilled AI interview evaluator. And the steps is to analyze the candidate's answer to question 1, evaluate the candidate's response to question 2, examine the candidate's answer to question 3, and then based on the overall analysis, provide a final recommendation of either qualified or unqualified for the CTO position at Neurov AI. That's pretty much it. We leverage... What do we leverage? We leverage O3 Mini just because it has a really good reasoning capabilities, and it's super cheap. So you can imagine that if you're getting tens of thousands of applications, you won't be chewing through a lot of money through tokens. Like it's really good. So we can run this now, I think, and should give us an output That was quick. So obviously, like, basically just got my answers off ChatGPT, and maybe that's something that you can implement in the future, is have a second LLM which analyzes the questions and can tell if it's AI written or not. I haven't done that in this video, but by the end of this video, I'll be showing you a few things that you can do to improve the system and really make it robust. But for the purpose of this video, just want to show you how it works. So basically, it outputted qualified. So based on this person's questions or responses, it's basically qualified. We then have a variable field, and we basically just map this. This is just the outcome. And we basically map the outcome based on the response of the LLM. Then you can imagine we update the outcome field. So we go back into Airtable and we just update based on the user's ID, obviously. We want to make sure we're adding the right outcome to the right person. We basically just fill in the outcome with qualified. So we run this, and we can go back into Airtable, and you can see here that qualified has been outputted. Awesome. So now your entire team can basically see, hey, this person is qualified. Awesome. By the way, let me know if I'm going too quick as well in the comments, but I think this is a good enough speed and obviously showing you how this works. And by the way, obviously all these prompts, template, voice AI prompt as well, is all going to be down in the link in the description, so you can play around with it as you want. Basically, we have a switch node here, which basically just like routes it, it routes it based on the fact that if they're qualified or if they're unqualified for the second phase. We're going to start with unqualified. Basically, if they're unqualified, it'll send them an SMS through Twilio. You have to get your own Twilio number if you want to do this. Basically, it'll map it to the person's phone number, and it'll basically just send them a message saying, dear, and this is then their first name. So, dear Ali, after carefully reviewing your application, we are sorry to announce that we will not be going forward with your application. And then we also send them an email, which is basically the same thing. Now, this is going to route to qualified because obviously the outcome is qualified. And then the second one is just unqualified. You can obviously change these as you want. And we just call them qualified voice AI interview, and then unqualified for phase 2 voice AI interview. I might just change this to phase 2. Awesome. And then this basically does the same thing where we send an SMS to the user, and we basically tell them, after carefully reviewing your application, we are pleased to announce that you have made it to the second stage. Please check your inbox for further instructions. This is really powerful. This is really cool. So basically we send the text message, and then what happens is this is a send and wait node. So this isn't a typical Gmail node. So if we go into the Gmail nodes real quick, you can see here there's a lot of different things. And typically what people would do is they would just send a message. But this node is really special because it's a send and wait for response. And what a send and wait for response node does is I'll even show you actually. If we go into this, it's the exact same thing. Basically, what we ask them is, after carefully reviewing your application, we are pleased to announce that you have made it to the second stage in the application process. Please respond to this email at your earliest convenience as to what time is the most suitable for your first interview, as well as your time zone. This is very important. So what happens is we basically send the email to that person. And you can see here the node has turned blue, and it has a little icon on the bottom, which is just a waiting node. So basically what's going to happen, and I really want to emphasize this, is what's going to happen is this node will not continue, or it will not fully execute until we have responded to the email. And that's what makes this so powerful, is that it won't continue until the user has actually responded back to their application process. And I'll show you exactly how that works. What's really cool as well is, I think it's fine. So let's go back into the emails. Don't mind the DeepSeek. But basically, we've got an email, which is application status Neuro AI. Dear Ali, after carefully reviewing your application, we are pleased to announce it's the exact same thing. So basically, we want to respond to this email with what time we want for the second interview. So we get to choose the time that we want for the second interview, as well as our time zone. And the reason we ask for the time zone is obviously depending on your company's time zone. If this person gives you a time tomorrow at 8 a.m. and they're in the opposite side of the world, that's not really going to work, right? So respond. And this is really cool. You can basically give your response, and we can obviously say, let's do today at 9:25 a.m. So it's 9:15 a.m. So this will be in 10 minutes. That gives me enough time to go over this. Perfect. So this page can be closed. And if we go back to the N8N, you can see that the Gmail node fully executed. and it gave us data, which is let's do today at 9:25 a.m. This is huge. This is literally huge. I've never seen anyone do this on N8N and actually use this node, but this is a great use case for the send and wait message. So now that we have this information, we basically feed it to a second LLM, which takes that text. So let's do today at 9:25 a.m. And it's basically tasked with analyzing the input message provided and converting the requested time to our time zone. I actually forgot to put in the time zone, so I'm just going to quickly do that. I'm in Australia/Brisbane time zone. Very important. So this will basically take the user's time and then convert it respectively into the Australian Brisbane time zone. You can obviously change this depending on where you are in the world. I just did this because I'm in Australia/Brisbane. And then we basically give it the current time, so it obviously knows, and then it returns the final output as only the formatted date. Now, it's very important inside of your N8N, if you're doing this in N8N, to go into your settings and make sure your time zone is set correctly. It's default nothing, so make sure you set that properly. Save it. Basically, we can run this, and once again, using O3 Mini, and it should give us an outputted date. So this is the date that we want for our call, which is 2025, March the 10th, which is today, at 9:25 plus 10, because we're 10 hours ahead of UTC time. So that's awesome. Now, we update this information inside of an Airtable. So basically just populate it again. So if we go back to Airtable, we're now on phase 2, which has less fields this time. It's basically just the name, last name, phone number, email, and then the requested time of the call. You can imagine we basically just populate this accordingly. Now, this one's really cool. So basically this node is going to get the current date, and the current date right now is 9:17, almost 9:18. So we're 7 minutes before the call. Then this node is going to calculate the difference between the current time, which is now, and the time that the user requests for their booking. And this is really cool. So basically we have 428 seconds before our call. And what we do here is, this is cool logic, and obviously let me know down in the comments if there's an easier way to do this, but we basically feed that time into a wait node, which basically waits for that period of time before we make a call. So let me execute this again. Basically, this is going to wait 392 seconds before executing. And this HTTP node is basically going to create a phone call, obviously mapping out the user's fields. So we're doing it to this number, the name of the user, as well as a dynamic variable as well. And if we go into Retail AI real quick, we can actually show you what the voice agent is that we have created for this second application. So we have phase 2 lead qualifier. So this is basically a recruiter agent, which is going to ask us a few questions. It's going to ask us about our technical skills, communication skills, and product thinking. And what's really important about this is you want to basically limit the max call duration just so that they stay on top of things and don't spend a lot of time wandering off, figuring out a response through AI and then saying that. We want to make these calls super quick so that it pressures them into responding as fast as possible. And then obviously we can analyze that afterwards. But basically it's just a massive prompt outlining how it should go about qualifying people. So that's what this node does. Then I think this is really cool. So basically wait 6 minutes. So this call goes for 5 minutes. If we wait for 6 minutes, we'll basically get the entire transcript of the call. And that's kind of logical thinking, is that basically take your max duration and add +1 minutes to it so that when the call is over, we can get the call ID and we can basically analyze the transcript. So this will analyze the history/transcript after we've waited for a longer period of time than the call has actually endured for. So if this call goes for 5 minutes and we wait 6 minutes, logically, we're going to get the transcript because the call's over. That's kind of my thinking. So I guess while we wait for this wait node to execute, let me go grab my phone and run you through this voice agent before we actually make the call. By the way, make sure that your phone is not on Do Not Disturb. I guess you can obviously change this in case they are, but for the purposes of this video, I'm just assuming you're not on Do Not Disturb. So basically what we're doing here is, for anyone who doesn't know, we're basically creating a HTTP request to create a phone call. And obviously you got to give it your authorization, your body. If this is confusing to you, do not worry. In the Google folder or the templated link in the description, I will basically have this mapped out for you. So it's very simple, very plug and play. So you don't need to worry about that. So basically, we'll just have to wait until this call processes, and I guess I can run through this voice AI prompt and obviously change this to whatever you want for your business or your use case. This is just purely templated. Basically, it just maps out all the steps. Example conversation is very important as well for your voice AI prompts. This is definitely the most important thing. Giving it steps, so the introduction, technical skills, communication, product thinking, and then closing. And I guess in that case, let's wait until they call us. Also, by the way, we did get that text message as well, so that's pretty awesome. But any second now, we should be getting a call for our interview, and it's basically wait until then. Awesome, so I should be getting a call, which I'm getting a call now, so let's answer. Yeah, I am ready for the interview. Let's do it.
Welcome to Neuron AI's CTO screening. Let's start with your technical background. Could you walk me through a complex AI project you've led?
Yeah, sure. So in my previous company, we ran over 40 different voice AIs for a company that was based across Australia, basically orchestrating all of that through our systems and then obviously making sure that they all were in sync to the customer's CRM. And yeah, that's basically it.
That sounds impressive. How did you ensure scalability for such a large number of voice AIs while maintaining performance?
Scalability was obviously a concern. We tried to template as much of the procedure and as much of the software as possible so that for every single iteration of our voice AI agents, we didn't really have to change much in terms of the prompting, in terms of the system architecture. It was kind of just like a plug and play for each district, each office.
Great approach to templating. Now, how would you design a voice agent to handle 10,000 concurrent calls for a lead generation system?
Yeah, 10,000 concurrent calls for lead generation. So depending on the voice AI software, or even if you're using custom software, you're going to have a cap to the amount of concurrent calls that you're going to get. So 10,000 divided by 20, you can do the math on that one. That is, if I do the math on that real quick, so we have 10,000 divided by 20, which is about 500. So you're probably going to have about 500 voice agents at the max. And basically you'll need to orchestrate all those phone numbers to the different voice AI agents, depending on if they already have max capacity or not, and then obviously feed that back into a central CRM.
That's a solid strategy for managing capacity. Now, imagine explaining neural networks to a non-technical client. How would you structure your explanation?
Neural networks. So non-technical founder, CEO, whatever, to explain neural networks in terms of LLMs, you can kind of think of, this is actually a hard one, I actually haven't prepared for this. So you can kind of think of neural networks as these nodes inside of like an LLM, inside of an LLM. So this LLM has different layers and there are different neural nodes on each layer. So for example, the very first layer, it's kind of like a sandwich. So the very first layer is the bread. It's obviously the first thing you see and it's the first thing that the LLM would see. And the node will basically take that input and produce an output, which then gets taken to the next layer of the sandwich, which would be like the tomato slice. Then that output will get taken to the next node, which is the lettuce or meat or whatever. And it'll basically keep going down that process until the response from the LLM has been fully optimized, been fully done, to basically take that initial input and produce a result that is what you're looking for. And that's kind of how LLMs work with neural nodes, is that they basically take the input and then refine it through these nodes, kind of like layers, until the final layer has been achieved, which is the output. And we actually only see the input and the output. Everything in the middle, we don't see happen. Does that make sense?
That's a creative analogy and it helps simplify a complex concept. Now, how would you align AI solutions with a client's long-term business goals while ensuring innovation?
Obviously just making sure we're aligned to the company themselves and ensuring that everything we do aligns to their company branding, in terms of like the voice agents, the AIs, basically enhancing their branding using AI instead of trying to deteriorate from that.
Ensuring alignment with branding is crucial. Can you share an example where you successfully drove innovation while keeping a client's branding in mind?
Yep, so we basically used AI to basically streamline their content creation process and basically allow them to enhance their presence digitally, which in return basically brought them more clients, more revenue, etc.
That's a great example of leveraging AI for business growth. Thank you, this has been insightful. Our team will review your responses and follow up within 24 hours. Any final questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you for your time today, Ali. We appreciate your insights and look forward to connecting soon.
Awesome, thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Ali.
Wow, okay, I don't know about you, but I was timing that call, and that call was literally 4 minutes and 54 seconds. I think one of the key takeaways from this is to definitely have a max call duration. 5 minutes is pretty good for that length, but this basically ensures that people don't waffle on with the questions. I kind of did with that neural nodes question, but I think this would basically ensure that people don't waffle on with the questions and they get straight to the point, succinct, really have to think on the spot. Because if you put the call duration like 2 hours, it's like, dude, come on. So basically what this node is doing is it's waiting 6 minutes. Honestly, we could have changed this to like 5 minutes and 5 seconds, to be honest. But basically, this will wait an extra minute, and then we can get the call history and the transcript. So you can see here, we can actually go back to this call. We basically have the call ID, which is like the interaction I just had with the voice agent. And now that the call has finished, this call ID will basically store the transcript, which is basically what I spoke about with the voice agent. And we can analyze that, and we can use that data to basically evaluate, is this guy good enough for the final interview with the actual team? And just for context's sake, obviously, like, one of your biggest concerns watching this is probably the fact that people can obviously just do it again and again if they don't get it the first time because of how quick these responses are. And in the end of the video, I'll basically show you some tweaks you can make to make this seem more realistic, and basically have them think that it's not AI. So we can get the call history and transcript, and then we basically set that as a field, which just makes it easier for us to test. So you can see here, this was the entire transcript. Really cool. And we'll basically test this step. And then we have our final LLM, which is the call analyzer. So this is a highly skilled, experienced AI recruitment analyst in expertise at evaluating candidate interviews transcripts. So basically what it'll do is it'll assess the candidate's technical skills, the candidate's communication effectiveness, the candidate's problem-solving aptitude, the candidate's potential cultural fit, the candidate's product domain, and it'll basically assign a score between 0 to 1 and 0.1 increments for each dimension based the analysis. And then it'll provide a final recommendation. And yeah, I think it's going to be really good. So basically, I'll just call this transcript. And yeah, let's test this. Let's see if I qualified for the final interview. I hope so. Yeah, let's see what happens. So this might take a little while just because it is a large transcript, but basically what happens here, once again, we basically just checked for if they're qualified or if they're unqualified. And I made this threshold quite large. So basically they have to be greater than or equal to 0.8 in order for them to be qualified. And if they're less than 0.8, they're not qualified. I actually got 0.7. So if I run this, I'm actually not qualified. That's crazy. Definitely need to figure out some stuff there. Yeah, that's kind of funny, actually. Basically, it's the exact same process as this node, so I'm not going to go over it. But basically, you'll get an email from the team basically saying, after carefully reviewing your interview, we are pleased to announce that you have made it to the final stage of the application process. For the final call with our team, please choose the time that works best for you. Insert calendar link or whatever link you want to do. And then this is like the final verification with the physical team as to like, hey, like you've done the virtual applications twice. Let's see if you're actually still a good fit for our company. And then the unqualified is basically the same thing, just like, hey, we're sorry, like you didn't make it. And I think 0.8 is a really good threshold just to really weed out the people that aren't qualified. And obviously you can change that to however you want. But yeah, that is the entire flow. And now I want to quickly break down some things that you can actually improve with this system to really make it robust. Awesome. So these are the notes that I want to emphasize for improvement. And also, by the way, we've basically just gone through this entire flow. Let me know what you think of it. I think it's freaking awesome. But basically, some notes on improvement is adding a filter system to ensure that people don't double up on phase 1 or phase 2 applications if they were unqualified the first time. So basically, like if someone applies again, if someone applies and it goes through the process and it deems them unqualified, they can very easily just go back and do it again. So implementing some sort of system which basically checks like, hey, if this person already exists inside of our CRM, just ignore it completely, like don't even do this step sort of thing. You can obviously implement that just so they don't keep doing it again. Obviously, they can like change their phone number or email. If they change their phone number, you could even implement some sort of like SMS verification somehow. Number 2, implement a secondary LLM, which will analyze the user's response. So this is particularly for phase 1. So it'll analyze you can even do phase 2 as well, but it'll analyze the user's response and determine if they were AI generated or not. And if it was an AI generated response, it's unqualified, vice versa. So basically, if the user puts in some answers for question 1, question 2, question 3, kind of like I did, like these were AI generated, you'll basically have a second LLM, which will evaluate the level of AI plagiarism. And obviously, if there's a lot of, if it can tell, like these AI systems are quite good at telling if they are AI generated or not, because it is literally themselves, then it'll basically deem it as, is this person qualified? Is this person not qualified? That sort of thing. And you can even do that with the voice agent as well. Just have a call analyzer node. Yeah, that's basically it. And then number 3, implementing a wait node to wait 12 to 24 hours instead of providing instant application feedback. So what I mean by this is basically you saw during our demo that this whole process pretty much happened in the span of like a minute if we were to let it run. And what you can do instead is you can implement a wait node to basically wait like 24 hours before sending a message. And what this does psychologically as well is this provides a much more realistic hiring process and timeline, and it also allows the user, so the applicant, not to be able to continuously spam the system for results because they'll have to be waiting like 24 hours, 48 hours, you know, like small things like that really do help. And I think that would make the system even better. Obviously, let me know down in the description if you want me to make these changes and I can just make another video on that. But I think this is really cool. And we're definitely heading into a future now where the HR hiring process is slowly getting eradicated. And I really hope it does, because I don't know about you, but in engineering, it takes us like 2 to 3 months before we get a response. And it's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. Something needs to change. So I am Ali Mohammed. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found something valuable out of it. Like I said, everything is linked in the description, all the templates, prompts, etc., everything. And yeah, subscribe to the channel if you're new, like, comment if you want me to make something similar, because once again, this was a user requested video. But yeah, feel free to book a call with us as well if you're a business owner or if you're looking to implement voice AI projects for yourself, or not even voice AI projects, just any lead generation system. You can check it out on my website. But yeah, I'm Ali Mohammed. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you specifically in the next video. Goodbye.